Vegas.
Yeah.
Vegas, baby.
Vegas.
Always a good time, man.
Hot
Whether
as
you're here for a
shit.
day or a week, you're gonna have a good time in Vegas.
It is. I mean, how can you not?
How many times have you guys been to Vegas before?
Oh my god.
I've been performing here since I was probably 20. It's been 20 years.
Okay.
On and off, at least once a year. I've been here in Vegas. It seems.
When you say performing, what are you talking about? What do you do out here?
Not anymore, but I mean, I was in the comedy world for years, and I've opened up for a lot of people out here. I've performed at a lot of different comedy clubs.
You got me a gig out here when I was out here for a festival. I didn't even get picked for the festival. It was the World Series of Comedy Festival.
Okay.
That they still do. I was here supporting a friend, and Louis Anderson had a room at the
Palace Station.
Palace Station,
Okay.
yeah. And you made a call for me and got me a gig up there.
That was my first headlining spot.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
You must have did good because they let me come in on the Merit of Your Name.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
And it was dope. It was so fun.
Cool, man.
Killed it too, yeah.
And you're doing big things now, man. Like he's doing some big things now. I'm real proud of him. There was a little room in St. Cloud, Minnesota.
Yeah.
And I had been booked to headline that room. Had been almost 20 years ago.
Yeah, probably good 17, 18 years ago.
Yeah.
18, 19 probably, yeah.
And I needed weed. And so they were like, who do you get weed from around here? And they were like, well, there's one black dude. And I was like, one fucking black dude? And all of St. Cloud? And it was
There was
Adrian.
5 of us. There was like 5 of us.
Yeah, but they all knew each other. They all knew each other. He was the weed portion of the 5. So and then he was doing stand up as well. He just started out. I think he said he'd just done a few shows.
Yeah, I was literally like maybe 3-4 months in. And just super new. I mean, fast forward, I'm over 19 years in now. You know what I'm saying? So Rob, he headlined, and I was the host. And I remember he was like one of the first people to tell me, he's like, dude, you got good stuff. He's like, move the mic. You know, he's like on the stage.
Actually, I don't even think you were the host. I was like, let me get a guest spot. Because it was that Perrin dude that was hosting.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, you're right. I did do a guest spot.
And I think you just did a guest spot.
You are so right. Perrin was the host.
And we weren't digging this other dude that was hosting. And I was like,
horrible.
I was like, man, let's let the other guy. Why do you don't work him? And
yeah, that's right. That's right. And I was just like, nah, that's their boy. So, and that's why ultimately 6 months later, I ended up just saying I'm gonna book my own. And I've been booking my own thing ever since.
Right,
you know what I mean? So it sucked because I was like, it could have been a great thing, but at the same time, it also made me build something. You know what I mean? So I'm definitely glad it worked out that way.
At that time when you were like first starting, you know, when you guys met, I guess prior to that, what was it that got you into doing stand-up?
Honestly, bro, if I'm being 100% honest, women like to laugh. That was my only gimmick. It was the easy way in with girls. You ask any woman in the world, they take a sense of humor over a six-pack. You think so many chubby dudes got good-looking women? Make them laugh.
Yeah, or cook good.
Both.
We be
that's
chubby
right.
together, bitch.
So it's just, and I've always said, like, just being a smart ass. I got 9 siblings, you know what I mean? So everybody is a smart ass. And honestly, I don't even think I'm a comedian. I'm a shit talker. I just know how to talk shit. I got the gift of gab, and I learned how to just put it on stage. Any of my siblings can do the same thing if they can just not be scared of the stage. Yeah. You know what I mean? Even
so
my mom.
You like doing like crowd work and like stuff like that?
I love it, but I've like, now I know that you need material certain places. You do big arenas, you can't see the crowd. You do big theaters, you can't see the crowd. There's a time and place. It's great to know how to do both. You know what I mean? But that was like my stick for a long time because I'd never write anything. I just started writing now because I don't remember like I used to. I'd always be like, oh, I'll remember this. You know, we'll make a joke about something. I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember that. Now I'll be like, hey, we'll laugh about something and make a joke. And I'll tell my wife, I'm like, text that to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So then after a while, I'll just go through these texts and be like, all right, make a bullet point. And I know if I got a bullet point, I can easily BS that for 2 minutes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Until
I figure something out.
And naturally funny, like he's way more naturally funny than I am. So it's a lot more fun, you know, to see a comic that can be automatically naturally funny in any situation. I did comedy magic, so I knew that you know, in the world of you almost kind of need gimmick or a catchphrase or something to make it and to get people to see you. You know what I mean? So my thing was I knew how to do magic, and I was working with Juan Villarreal, who was real big in the black comedy world at the time.
Hold up.
Yeah.
You gotta tell he did magic. I don't mean to change. I'm not changing the story. I gotta just make sure we don't miss this story about when you Rob used to do magic and his bird that he pull out the hat died.
No, the rabbit.
Yeah, the rabbit.
The rabbit. Yeah, the fucking rabbit died.
The rabbit died in between shows, man.
Tell us. Let's hear the start.
Yeah,
let's hear the start to finish from you, Rob.
The true story was we're in San Antonio, and I'm with Juan Villarreal, and this is when we're first starting out. And Juan had told me in the beginning, like I just wanted to do stand up. I was like, I like to do magic, but I don't know how to do stand up really. And he was like, but your magic is really good. He's like, let's make it funny. Let's make your magic funny, and then you can do magic on a comedy stage. I'm like, okay, cool. So he would help me write some jokes, write liners for some of the stuff that I was doing or whatever. But I had a corporate gig because I was doing a lot of kids events and corporate stuff and you know company parties or the Christmas parties and shit like that. That's what I originally started out doing. And the money's a lot better in those, but it's not as fun. You know, you can't cuss, you can't have fun with people, you can't say whatever, and that's what I wanted to do. But anyway, I had a corporate gig, and we were on the road, and Juan was with me on the road, but I just so happened to have a gig separate. But he was like, man, I'll go with you. Juan was like, I'll go with you, let's have fun. And at the time, he was really hot. He was a BET
huge
comic.
Yeah.
And he was in all the black rooms, and everybody in Texas knew him. He was the only Mexican dude on BET.
For real.
And he was on Cedric's, all the Cedric's videos.
Yeah,
And
I think
he was on a bunch of
Jamie
DVDs
Foxx.
at the time.
Yeah.
Jamie Foxx had him on.
Yep.
But anyway, and he was there, and he did a few minutes, and of course I do my magic stuff, which is what they had paid for. But I go to reveal the fucking turn the birds into a rabbit is the trick. You have 3 birds that I had pulled out, and then at the end they're in the cage. Pull the fucking cage out, the birds are gone. There's a rabbit there, right? But there's a dead fucking rabbit at the closer of my show, man. Like there's no way. I mean, I can't put my hand up this fucking rabbit's ass and make him move. He's just dead. He's just dead. So yeah, I got to end a corporate show. Which is pretty horrible.
But the funny part about it is he went to go throw the rabbit in the garbage, right? And then Juan tells the story. Rob goes to throw the rabbit in the garbage, and Juan's like, "Bro, you just gonna get rid of your rabbit?
you ain't gonna give it a
like,
proper burial?
Yeah, you ain't gonna properly bury it.
Fucker?
Like you ain't gonna give it. He's like, you just dumping it in the fucking dumpster.
Yeah.
He's like, this dude help you close all your shows.
That's how you're gonna disrespect him? Yeah.
How often does that happen? Because like the rabbit, that's like a pretty
gosh.
common trick, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Well, that's happened only the one time, but
But
another time
in general, to other people, has that happened to like other magicians that you
I'm
know?
sure because I was on the road one time and I got drunk. And I left my animals in the car, and I got up in the morning, and all 6 of my fucking birds were 2 of them were dead, the other 2 were fucking they wanted water. I was like, fuck, man, and I forgot about leaving them in the car.
Horrible.
Rob, I have a 2-part question for you here now.
Sure.
So, do magicians have to take care of their animals like their pets when they're on the road?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, you gotta.
That's why he don't do it no more.
And how many times have you neglected those animals and killed them?
I think those are the 2 times. If is this a trap?
We got PETA listening.
Yeah.
Right.
No, this was years ago. Years ago.
So you got to find out the statute of limitation.
Yeah, that was in I don't know, some town, man,
Long
in the middle
time
of
ago.
nowhere.
Yeah.
I left him in my. It was when I had long ass time.
But we've had like everything I've done, like not everything, but like for the first probably 10 years of my comedy, almost everything I got big, like I got it through him. And like we just met that time. Like I did a guest spot. We kicked it that night. You know what I'm saying? Got him some weed. He'd always like drive. Like he'd leave that night. His reason, like he was in Texas, right? So he'd still be touring. And he'd have to go like maybe a couple hours from where I lived at. And sometimes he'd just take off like in the middle of the night with us kicking. He's like, I'm going to just take off. I'm like, why are you taking off, bro? He's like, I always hook up with fat chicks here, man.
Shit. I don't know about fat bitches in St. Cloud.
I was like, what? He's like, yeah, man. He's like, I've been here a few times. It's always the big girls. They get me at the end of the night.
In Minnesota? That's in Minnesota?
St. Cloud. I don't know why, man. I was at a big girl magnet.
We be having a good time and shit then. Sure enough, man, we kind of calm down and get us some food or something. He's like, yeah, I'm going to just go ahead and hit it. I was like, bro, you got a crib, you got a condo and everything. He's like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
And then he finally told me, I was like, why do you leave? He's like, man, the big girls, they get me. I said, wow, bro.
So that's why the birds died.
Right.
You were out too late one night.
We're putting everything together now.
But yeah, almost everything I got big. Like when the first time I ever worked with Steve-O, it's because of him. We did this thing down in El Paso with like 11 other comics. And this big Hispanic comic, Raymond. We all stayed in a house. We had Airbnb, like 12 guys.
That was my comedy production. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was I put together this DVD. And,
Yeah, we recorded. What was the club in El Paso?
the comic strip.
Yeah, the comic strip. And it was dope. Everybody came out to support everybody. I think like one night it was 6 of us. Another night it was another 6 of us. Everybody got along. It was dope. But like I was the only comic from Minnesota. Like everybody else was like Texas-based comics. And everybody's like, bro, how did you even hear about this? And I was just like, Rob, you know what I mean? Not only did he get me to work with Steve-O, but when I booked Steve-O for myself, that was also successful, but it was all through him. He was like, hey, this is the guy you got to talk to. This is how you got to talk to him. You know what I mean? He's like, if you do this right, he's like, you're good. He's
Well,
like,
that's the thing about the comedy business is I learned earlier that show business is 2 parts. You have to have a show and you have to be
100%.
good at business. You can't just have one or the other. You're not going to be successful. You have to have the 2 combined. And that's why a lot of people have managers and agents and stuff. But coming up, people aren't going to take you on because you're not making any money. You're not going to make them any money. So you kind of have to learn that part of the business. Otherwise, you fall out. And I learned that early, that I wasn't going to make a lot of money on the road just telling jokes for other people. I had to learn to promote my own shows. I had to book Mike Epps and put myself as the opener on that show so I can be in front of 3,000 people, because I'll never draw 3,000 people. But I know now I can be seen in front of 3,000 people, and now I can do a smaller show, and those people will come see me again. I can do
So you were booking guys. You were booking shows through venues, and then you would just put yourself on.
Yeah. And I would be the promoter, and I would be the opener, and I would be the driver, and I would be the fucking. I would do it all, man.
Right,
I would
pick them up from the airport, man. Set up their shit, like get them what they want, like you know what I'm saying.
Fill their riders and
Yeah.
get everything that they need for their dressing rooms, and people are weird. You gotta be able to take care of what they want and make them comfortable.
Yeah, and he always, when it was always something that he knew would benefit me, I always felt like he was like, "Hey, I'll do this with you, but I got a guy that I want to put on the show too." You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I just get it. Like it could be 6 months we hadn't talked. He'll hit me up. Hey, what's up, bro? Not much. What's going on? You ever been to such and such? Nope. You want to come?
Yeah.
Like hell yeah. He's like, who you got? He's like, I just closed the deal with so and so, and I got you on as the opener, bro. We're gonna hit 5 cities, and you know what I mean. I'm just like, god damn. You know what I mean? And they just always have been that dude, man. Always been that dude. And I never thought about it till you said it, but that's probably why I know it kind of. And where I live at St. Cloud kind of made me do the same thing. Because I had a kid by the time I started doing comedy already. So I was like, I can't be gone on the weekends. That's my time with my kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, I got to figure it out at home.
And I was like, well, do your shows, but get you sponsors.
Yep.
Get you people that'll pay you every single show. You can promote them. They promote.
He's been
they
telling me
help
shit
you.
for years.
So you can make a living at this, and you don't have to work at the end or whatever the fuck. I don't remember what you're doing, man.
Yeah, even like now, still, you know what I'm saying? I've been at this 19 years. He don't even do comedy no more. He'll still hit me up, be like, hey, can I tell you something? You should use a different picture for this flyer or something like that. And you know what I mean? And I know he mean that it all comes from a good place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even when we were doing shows that was being recorded like nationally, I'm like, man, what's the wardrobe? You know what I'm saying? What is everybody wearing? He was like, bro, do you want to look like you're making money? Or you know what I'm saying? I was like, done. Suit it is. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else have the jeans and the T-shirt, and I'm like, that's what I probably would have normally wore, but he's like, I'm going to have a blazer or something. I'm like, nah, I'm going to go get a whole motherfucking suit.
And that's the way to do it. I think that makes a lot of sense, especially if you want to make money in that business. It's like you got to dress.
Or at least know how to switch it. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? At least know how to switch it for certain things. Because I know there's like certain, that's why I told him, I said, well, this flyer, I'm outside at the patio. It's nothing big. Like, it's in my city. They obviously know who I am. It's no big deal. I said, but when it's time to have a more dressed up flyer for a different occasion, I'll have that too. He's like, all right. I remember a week later, I had a suit on, and I sent him a snap. He's like, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. You look like, you look like
money.
When people ask you how much you charging a show, you look like you're making $10,000, $15,000 a show. You're not making $500 anymore. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I think that's like charging is another like interesting point where with all like entertainers or artists, like was there a time like a show where you might have said like a rate that was like way higher than you'd ever charge before, and someone was like, yeah, and like that clicked, or
it's happening now more than I ever thought it would. It's weird. Like this year that was one of my goals. I was like, I'm gonna tell my price and I'm gonna just stick with it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
I remember that same thing.
Yeah,
thinking I'm not gonna do a show unless it has a comment in it.
Yeah,
from now on.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's it, bro. But like for me, for not doing that for so long and just have earned my own, you know what I mean? It feels weird telling somebody I want X amount of money. But now I know my resume too. You know what I'm saying? So,
but at that point, when you get to the point where your price is an amount where you're not comfortable telling them that, then that's when you get to the point where you have a manager that you can afford, right, and that can ask for those prices and can negotiate on your behalf without you being the money, because you don't want to be the money guy all the time. Right. You know, like you don't always take their money.
That's my wife. That's why my wife works the door at all my shows. I'm like, if it was me, everybody being free. I'd be like, God damn, that's right. I owe you some. I remember you hooked me up with this, or I came in a restaurant and you got, you know what I mean? Yeah. My wife's just like, nope, your name ain't on this list. I'm gonna need that 20 up out you.
So if you've been doing this for 19 years, and you said that, in the beginning, you kind of just fell into it because you were always naturally funny. Mm-hmm. When were you able to switch from, a 9 to 5 to comedy full time? And then from when it kind of stopped from being, a struggle to a point where you're flourishing now?
Probably, honestly, just like 5.5 years ago, not quite 6 years ago. And I did comedy for like 13.5 years, but I always had a job. You know what I'm saying? I always had multiple jobs and still did comedy. You know what I mean? And finally, I was like, and what was hard, my last job, I went back to my old junior high school, and I was a security guard and a mentor there. So it was the most rewarding job I ever had, but it was the less money I've ever had, and it was very time-consuming for what I was trying to do. I was only supposed to be there like a year, and I ended up being there for 4 years. And I just told the kids, I was like, I got to get back to the dream. You know what I'm saying? I was like, this wasn't part of the dream, but I'm so grateful for it. You know what I mean? I was like, but I'm not leaving you guys to just like go take another job. I'm like, I'm going to get back to what I do. You know what I mean? So what's dope now is like now I get to go back to those same schools or see these same kids in the stores or the car wash that live in my community. And they'll be like, hey, my mom showed me you were with Mike Epps at the Target Center. My mom showed me you're touring with Donnell Rawlins. My mom showed me you were out hanging out with Chappelle and them guys. You know what I'm saying? Just stuff like that where I'm just like, that's what I told you guys I was going to do. And I thank God, by the grace of God, it was because literally me and God had to have a conversation when I decided I was just going to do it. Because I got wife and kids, man. Like I couldn't be a starving artist. You know what I'm saying?
You had to make ends meet.
Yeah.
Do whatever it took.
And my kids are used to a certain lifestyle. It's like, yeah, we support your dream. But it's like, if you think we're going to fucking eat ramen so you can keep dreaming, then you dreaming. You know what I mean? So it's just like, but from the moment I talked to God about it and made sure it was the right thing for me to do, my life just kept elevating. Everything got better and better. Cars got better. The crib got better. I had time to go do stuff at my kids' school. Didn't have to ask nobody. I could go meet my wife for lunch every day. You know what I'm saying? Just
vacations.
Stuff. Yeah, vacations. You know what I mean? Like vacations I would have had to miss a bill before. That's when I knew I was kind of like making money. When I was like, all right, because we take us and our wives take a trip for the last 5 years.
Yes.
Every February we take a trip together where we decide like a year ahead of time and then we plan for that trip. But it'd be trips like that where I'd be like, I got to miss at least a bill or two to make this trip work. Now it's just like, you know what I'm saying? I remember just driving, losing money and still but I invested it all in myself. You know what I mean? I invested all in myself, bro. Like there'll be people like, hey, can you come do this show? I'll give you $250. I'm like, it's going to cost me $400 to get there. But it's a show. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'll figure the rest of it out. So that's what I mean about like being able to go to the gas station and just fill up your tank every time you go to the gas station. That's some shit I never take for granted. Because I remember the days where I had to, y'all remember when you had a debit card, you could buy gas like a day ahead of time and they'd only take $1? Y'all might be too young for this.
I think they are.
They'd only take like $1 from you for like a day or two. But then I knew like my check would be deposited. So it's like I could fill up my tank for $1. And then like the next day they'd be like, all right, it was $38 or whatever. So I remember those days. Now it's just like
I think now they charge you like upfront like $100.
They go on
and give it back.
Pre-authorize it.
Pre-authorize it. So now it's just like being able to even like just stuff like that, man, and knowing I'm living my dream. Like I've never had an agent. I've never had a manager. None of that. Just did it all on my own and figured it out to the best I knew how. Because I'm a huge fan of comedy. First of all, like most of the dates me and my wife do, it's a comedy show. I have to remind myself like I got to take her to a real date where it's not comedy. Because no matter what, like I performed on our honeymoon in Hawaii. Like I got a tour in Canada because we went up there for.
So you scheduled the honeymoon around a show,
right? No, I ended up getting booked for a show for the honeymoon. You know what I mean? But
one of those summers you were performing on the cruise ship we went on.
Yeah. And I got another cruise ship I'm doing next year. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, but she's a huge comedy fan too. But it's a huge reason why I am successful because I don't have that to worry about. I don't have to feel like somebody's trying to like stop me from doing because I'm like this is. And comedy's one of those things you gotta be obsessed with, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like if you only like it, you will not make it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. Like if you only
sit at the house and wait for them to call you.
Yeah, if you only like it, man, quit now. I'm gonna tell this to I don't know where the camera's at. If you only like comedy, please don't get involved. Because it's like, man, you ain't gonna see money for a long time. Every now and again you get a blessing with social media and shit like that. You know, we from the flyer era though. That's another reason why you won't out hustle me. I used to go like print flyers with money I didn't have, give them to you. I'd see people drop my shit on the ground. I pick it right back up. I'm like, bro, that cost me money. Somebody else. I start telling people like, hey, if you don't take my flyer, I need to see you put it in your pocket right now. Put it in your purse right now. You ain't got to read it and shit right now. When you sober up, bitch, I need you to read this. It's gonna be some good shit here next week. You know what I'm saying? And it's just that, bro. Just the hustle. Like you said, if you sit around, that's why starting your own shit is like the best thing you can do. Cause you ain't gonna make money off of just who books you. They gonna make the money. So now if you can be that person where you can say, I can book it and perform it, you know what I mean? For one, now you ain't got, I never believed in paying somebody for doing what I could do. That's why comics be like, man, I'm like, aren't you a comic? Why aren't you on stage? I've done one show in 19 years that I produced that I wasn't a part of at all. Mm-hmm. I just did that like a year ago. And that was for like a ladies' night thing. You know what I'm saying? I just sit back, kicked it with my wife, watched the show. Other than that, every show I've put on, I've been a part of it, whether I host, feature, headline, something.
Yeah.
You know what I
mean? And that when you're bringing other people together for you, they see you're not just on the sideline. That you're part of it. You're
100%, man. You're invested in it. You know what I'm saying? Like if people still laughing, they're like, dude, you still work your door? Like, yeah, me and my wife. We put our little scanner on there and you got your tickets, and I'm like, I ain't got no money to be paying nobody. And then I'm just standing right here. Yeah. I'm going to talk to everybody that walks in anyways. Why not talk to him and scan him? You know what I mean? Rick Ross still cut his own grass. Shit, I could at least scan some tickets. You know? That's the hustle, though. And most smart hustlers know if you can keep the money in the house, you winning.
No.
Yeah.
And, wow. Okay. And then hey, thank you for sharing that. And
no problem.
Rob, so in your comedy career, about 20 years, you said when you were starting out, were you all in on comedy, or did you have another side gig starting out?
No, man. I was a felon. Like I was in the military, and fresh out of the military, I got a felony for having weed and acid in my pockets. Before that shit was legal. I've been arrested in 9 states for weed. This is a true story. I've been arrested in Colorado, Florida, Mississippi, Arkansas, Texas many times, New Mexico. So I've been a pothead my entire life. So I didn't want to take a drug test. I didn't want to. I was the person that when you got a job, I don't know how many jobs you guys have had, but I was the person that got a job, and all I could think about was how much money I was making the company that I was working for. I was like, shit, if I'm being a framer doing carpentry, I know that this dude is making more than the $10 he's paying me. You know what I mean? He's making $30 off me at least. Or if I was working a restaurant, I would see how much money the restaurant that I would sell every night. I got to print out my report that says I just sold $4,000 for this restaurant, and they're paying me $2 an hour. Really? You know what I mean? So I was, I didn't like jobs because I saw that I wasn't making what I thought was my fair share. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I just decided that I was going to work for myself. And when I found out that I had a talent to do magic, I can parlay this into a living, and I did. I did kid shows. I did corporate events, or, I was fresh starting out doing $200 an hour kid shows, doing birthday parties and doing 4 or 5 a weekend, stuff like that, you know. And once I got rolling in that, it was hard to go back to a $10 an hour job when you're making $200 an hour and you can just practice your craft all week, you know. Take care of I had a daughter at the time that was a baby, you know.
When you made that transition, obviously, like when you're working the job, it sucks. Like you're seeing, you know, how much the company's making from you and everything, but at the same time, they're just giving you hours, and that just comes and goes, right? When you have to book a show yourself, you have to go find it. Like, how was that? You know, was that a natural like instinct for you? Were you always like driven to go and?
I think I was a natural marketer. Yeah, I was naturally 100%. Good at being able to sell whatever it was. So once I had something to sell that I could sell myself, then I was able to sell that.
It's easy to sell it to you.
Yeah,
once I bought in on it,
you know, it was. And at the time when I started out, it was Yellow Pages. It wasn't social media and everything on Google now it is. You know, when I started out, it was Yellow Pages. And I was smart enough to name my company A+ Magical Production. So I was the first fucking one in the Yellow Pages. I was the first ad that moms would see when they would go to book a magician for their kids' party.
That's old-fashioned SEO, right?
Yeah, bro. I wasn't an idiot, man. And there was, you know, other magicians that I would get the biggest ad, you know, and I would make money that way, and that's how I started out.
Yeah,
you know?
man.
And so when you were in the Yellow Pages, you just had inbound coming in, or were you still like hustling in like other ways? Like,
I had a weekly magic show that I produced where, like, on Sunday night, I would have other magicians to come in, and we would basically they would do a free show just to be able to perform, you know, and we would sell $10 tickets or whatever. But it was a good way for me to be able to hone my craft with other magicians, you know. But I was more interested in making people laugh. So, and a lot of the magicians were lame and they weren't entertaining. They were like the woo, look at me magicians. I was the one that wanted to
take care of their animals and everything.
Yeah. They had animals
by the book. Motherfuckers. Y'all saving animals, nigga.
Those guys sucked. They didn't kill their pets.
Yeah, right.
We're just kidding about all this.
Some people beat their wives. I take it out on my pets.
Poor rabbit.
Yeah, it's just been a dope journey, man. Like I always tell people, like, it's all a win for me because I don't feel like this was supposed to happen, in a sense.
But what's cool now, I think, about your story is that you've kind of figured out the business side as well. You know, you've kind of figured out the business side of show business and being able to promote yourself and do events with other people that you know, like similar to mine, you know.
Yeah, and my company is also, it's called One Mic ENT. That's just the number one MIC space ENT. So,
and that's parlayed into a cannabis brand, which is all legal now in Minnesota.
Gummies is legal in Minnesota now, so I got my own line of gummies. I got a online.
Is that like all like THC or is it Delta 8?
Nope,
or
all THC.
Is it recreationally legal in Minnesota?
It will be recreational for the plant August 1st.
Okay.
But gummies are recreational now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Nice.
Yep. They supposedly they accidentally signed the wrong piece of paper that worked out in our favor.
That gummies came first
Yeah.
before the plant? No way.
Yeah. So I happened to just meet a guy. I got sponsors, man, that have been rocking with me for a while. You know what I mean? And they're all local small businesses. Some of them are my old high school friends. You know what I mean? And the day because people asked me to do sponsors forever. I did.
And networking is essential in any business, whether it's comedy or whether it's a cannabis brand, man. Cross marketing with other businesses that aren't in your market share. It makes a lot of sense. You know
like
what I mean?
My cleaners I use as my sponsors. My mechanic is my sponsor. The tow truck service we use is my sponsor. You know what I'm saying? My buddy's got an e-cig store. That's my sponsor. You know what I mean? The gummy guy is my sponsor. You know?
I think that's one of the places nowadays where people go wrong, like influencers or people like they're just promoting shit that is like garbage and that they don't use. So like if you're genuine with it and you're
you know what's crazy? Like I got 8 right now. And every week somebody's like, or they'll come to the show because I hang up a banner at my shows with all my sponsors on it. And people are like, how can I get on that? And I was like, I'm full, man. And they're like, what do you mean you're full? I'm like, I don't want more than that. I don't want fucking 15 sponsors. I don't want 20 sponsors. I want something to be great about it. You know what I mean? I want them to know that I'm not just taking everything that comes in just to say I do it. I literally use all you guys and recommend all you guys to anybody. If you need that service, I say use that service.
Yeah.
You know, so,
and you're using them before they even sponsored.
Right, way before.
That's
way
the
before,
important
bro.
thing
You know
right
what I
there.
mean? So, it's just been a dream come true, man. And if nothing else, I can honestly say if nothing else ever happened for me, if this is me peaking, me just touring nationally with Donnell and me doing my shows at home, and you know what I'm saying? Like, cause home's always taking care of me. Home's always taking care of me. I just started traveling really like probably a year and a half ago, but where I'm at in Minnesota, I got about a 70-mile radius that will make sure they come support the fuck out of me. You know what I mean? So Minnesota, thank y'all from the bottom of my heart for that shit.
That's
you know
true.
what I mean?
We did a tour. I was touring. I was touring with Eddie Griffin.
Yep.
And we were like, let's do Minneapolis.
Yep.
And so I booked Minneapolis on that tour, and I said, make sure that we get this guy on to open that Minneapolis show, because he'll help sell it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he did, man. I would say half of the people that were there were to see Eddie Griffin, half of the people were to see Adrian.
Yeah, and it was crazy thing because it was during COVID, so our match was $250.
Right. There was National Guardsmen on the
because
corner.
that's when the Chauvin trial
had
happened, for killing George Floyd.
Oh,
yeah.
That trial was going on. Like, they were waiting for.
They wouldn't even let us do the show until they were like, when the trial is. It was real on edge.
Yeah,
man.
And then also, what people forget, that week, Deontay Wright got killed that Monday. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
So there was another black kid killed by a white cop in Brooklyn Park that Monday. We were supposed to do our show that Friday. I call him and say, hey, man, look, we're going to, because then they put us back on curfew. We were already it was COVID.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So the cap was already $250. And then they put us on the curfew. So now everything's got to be done by midnight. We're trying to knock 2 shows out a night. You know what I'm saying? And we got limited space, and we got literally, when one show's over, we got to swing other people in. You know what I mean? But
what's crazy is you caught COVID after that show.
Man,
I was like, you're all over. This fool was hugging everybody, high-fiving. What's up, y'all? You seen motherfuckers in a year?
Yeah.
And right after that show, man, you ain't gonna believe this shit, dog.
Man, literally, bro. We went and had breakfast that Sunday after the show. Fucking Monday, I had it.
Yeah.
Thursday, I was in the hospital. It had turned into pneumonia.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that.
like, fucked me up. He was like, damn, bro, you had COVID while we was having breakfast. I said, hey, I passed the little test when I walked in. But it sucked, man. But yeah, so that was crazy. But thank God we sold out all 4 shows before the doors even opened.
Yeah.
We didn't have to sell tickets at the door or nothing. But it was crazy because being that trial was going on and the shit that had just happened, they literally flew the National Guard in. So standing on the corners, you had army tanks. You had motherfuckers standing there with big ass guns, and you can half of them are kids, bro. We'd be walking to go get something to eat. You can see it on their face, like they was like, I just hope everything goes how it's supposed to go. We try to make them laugh walking past, man. Like, look, bro, I know y'all don't want to be here.
Yeah, it's cold.
It sucks. Remember, even that Saturday night, they was like, y'all might have to get shut down because they're gonna start protesting toward where y'all doing the show.
Yeah, it was like a march or something. Yeah, that's
Yep.
right, man. Forget about that.
It was crazy, but we did it, man. And Minnesota's been good. And so like now, I'm starting to branch out, like I said, touring and just making it rock.
Yeah, what tours like?
You're seeing a lot of new audiences with.
Yeah.
If you guys remember the Chappelle Show, the guy Ashley Larry, who played Ashley Larry, his name was Donnell Rawlings. That's what happens in the comedy game is you get the chance to open up for big names, and when you do, you try to take advantage of that chance. You want them to see you. You want them to hear the crowd at least that you're doing really well. So in hopes, man, I hope this guy can he's got a lot of work. If he's working every single week on doing big clubs, selling out, if I can somehow get on his open up for him nationally, now I'm exposed to crowds all over the country, potentially all over the world, and you never know what can happen from that. Somebody else sees you, someone else, the clubs like you, they start working you more. So that's what's happening to him right now is Donnell is working.
Yeah, just
him
looked out for me, man.
wants,
And that's the thing. I used to just be like, hey, bro, can I get a guest spot? And I literally fly out where he was at, take care of all my own shit. Like, I just want 10 minutes of stage time. You know what I'm saying? He was like, oh, bro, come on. It's like, hey, I got you. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'll throw you something and everything. I'm just like, man, I'm just coming out there. I appreciate the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? So you go from losing money to breaking even to making money. You know what I mean? And like I said, I'm 19 years in this, bro. But I ain't got no TV credits. I did my first arena last year with Mike Epps in Minneapolis at the Target Center. You know what I'm saying? I was the only comic on that show, bro, that didn't have. I don't have one TV credit.
Wow.
But it does nothing for you anymore. I think what in the comedy game, doing a viral TikTok is better than a Tonight Show. It's
You guys seen Matt Wright?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's like all over TikTok. He's
He's-
just like on everything.
Well, there was one before him, and that was Dane Cook. Dane Cook took over MySpace. He learned when MySpace was doing. Dane Cook made a name off of himself on MySpace, and he was the first person to get 1 million followers on MySpace or whatever it was at the time. It was followers, friends, and and he was selling out arenas. He sold out Madison Square Garden over and over and over, and now Matt Rife kind of took a page out of that book, and on the TikTok,
I see him crushing it.
He's
right? Everywhere.
murdering.
He's
He's
everywhere.
murdering. And he's funny, bro. He's funny.
He's very relevant. Like everything that he's talking about,
Yeah.
like fits
100%.
in.
100%.
And he's got that look.
good,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
The girls love him.
Man, to be funny and good looking.
Bro, if you can get girls to
Bruh.
come to a comedy show, it's hard to
Do
get
you know why
females to.
every show sells out? Because for one, women gonna buy all the tickets.
Yeah, and if the women
Two.
come, the men come in.
There you go. Dudes are coming because they know women are there.
Yeah.
Like if you're smart, you don't even market your shit to dudes almost.
Yeah, there's a reason why it's free, ladies free.
Like ladies free, right?
There's a reason.
Anywhere, especially like we in Vegas. Like try to go on a pool party with 10 dudes,
It ain't happening,
bruh.
Better break up.
Right. Better split off and go find 10 females.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things, man, where it's just paid off. You gotta stay with it. A lot of people don't stay with it long enough. Like, but I understand. Like I know now that it's literally what God put me on earth to do.
I'll tell you a funny story. One time we were working, we were doing like a 3-city tour with Paul Rodriguez. Do you know who that is? Paul Rodriguez was one of the original Latin Kings of Comedy. After the Kings of Comedy came out with Bernie Mac and Cedric, then it was the Latin Kings of Comedy, then the female Kings of Comedy. But anyway, the Latin Kings of Comedy was Carlos Mencia, Paul Rodriguez, and George Lopez.
Yep.
was the Latin Kings, and this was before George blew up, so he was just one of the guys. But anyway, we were on tour with Paul Rodriguez. We were going from my hometown at the time, which was Odessa, Texas, to I think it was Lubbock or something like that, to pick him up at the airport.
Lubbock, and then
to
we're
pick him
gonna
up at
go
the
to El
airport.
Paso.
Yeah, we were at the three cities. Anyway, we're driving, and it's me, the girl I was with at the time, and Adrian was driving, and there was 3 of us in the car.
No, there's 4.
Who else was in there?
There was another. Who was the Mexican dude? Was it Daniel?
Oh, okay, yeah, we had a
Yeah.
guy working with us. That's right. There was 4 of us in the car.
Yep.
And Adrian was driving, and we get pulled over. We weren't doing anything.
Nothing.
We saw the cop. We're like, make sure you're doing the speed limit.
Right.
Don't fucking. And he, of course, pulls right up behind us, pulls us over. We had just been smoking, and
We were smoking stories about how many times he's been busted for weed. And he pulled up and saw us first, and then the cop fell back, fucking jumped behind us.
And I had just gotten this cigar box, man.
Yeah.
This real nice cigar box. It was like felt laced inside. I was super proud of it.
Hey,
And
he
I
was
had-
so proud of it. I remember I was sitting in the car, and he came walking out of the house, and everywhere we go, he brings weed. I'm just like, bro, you know this shit ain't legal, right? And so he's just walking out of the house. He got a cigar box, and he's literally just walking like his mom said he can go outside and play. I was like, this motherfucker is full of weed.
When was it? What time? What year?
This was what, 10 years ago?
10 years ago? Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't legal. It's still not legal in Texas.
Yeah.
But so we're on the road, and I've got this cigar box under my chair, and they pull us over, and they pull him out of the car as the cop, and they put him in the cop car, and the cop comes back, hey, we're gonna need to see that box up under your seat right there. I was like, "Fuck, Adrian fucking snitched on me, dog."
I was like,
bro,
what
so
we gonna-
we know you got weed in the car.
yeah, I'm like,
It
what we
smells
gonna do?
like it.
Because he put me in the car. He tricked me, and I'm high, right?
Well, we had a lit joint when
Yeah,
he
we had a
pulled us
little
over.
jump when he pulled us over.
I ate it for
Yeah,
some reason.
That's what I'm saying. And I didn't know he ate it till I was in the police car. And then they pulled everybody out of the car. And I see Rob just going, anybody got any water? And I'm just like, why does he need water? Then come to find out later, I said, why did you eat the joint when we still had a whole box of weed? Like you was doing us a favor. Like that's all we had. He's like, I didn't think about it at that time.
Yeah.
He fucking put the joint in his mouth and chewed it up. Paper, everything.
And I got to go to jail. I ended up going
Yeah.
to jail for
So that was one of the 9 times.
Yeah, that was one of the many.
in Texas, yeah.
And he ended up getting me back out before Paul. I was like, please
Man.
just don't tell Paul, because the last time we had worked with Paul, somebody tried to rob us on the road. Like
he thought he had something to do with it.
Yeah, he thought that for some reason I had something to do with it. We had $35,000 in cash, and he had just gotten paid. And this dude tried to ram us off the road as we're going to the next town in a truck, and I'm just hauling ass, man. I'm driving.
Like they had to set up a roadblock.
Yeah, we're on the phone with the cops. Hey, man, there's some dude. He's got a gun. We just saw him. He flashed a rifle at us, and they set up a roadblock in front of us. They end up pulling him over, pull us out. And
Did
the
he
dude
know who you guys were?
He was like this cholo-looking dude. Yeah, he was.
Okay, so he knew you had the cash.
He knew that we were leaving town with money. You know what I mean? So
he followed your vehicle.
Followed us.
Okay.
Where was this?
This was leaving Roswell, New Mexico, going to Carlsbad, New Mexico.
New Mexico is crazy.
Just a deserted road with nothing for like 45 minutes, like nothing. And he's chasing us. I'm in a Suburban. He's in a pickup, and he's basically trying to make a stop. And he's got a gun. He's showing us a gun. He's going to shoot. Damn. And I just floor it, and we're on the cops at the same time, and freaking the fuck out. Yeah, so we got to go to the cops and file a report. And
you had weed on you too then? And,
I don't remember, but that was the least of my worries.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a nuts.
Yeah,
story.
it was crazy. And they pulled us over for like a long time, man. We was like, we gave you all the weed, bro. You know what I mean? And then remember the big old black cop came? Big old dude. He came and he was lazy. I remember he couldn't even, like, he had to like use his nightstick to pick our bags up. And then he was like, wow, y'all got cash on you. He's like, I got a lot of money. I was like, on average, we got like $700. I said, Rob probably got the most because he's putting the show together. I said, but the rest of us comics have maybe $700-800. That's a lot of money. I was like, I don't know who you hang with, but that ain't a lot of money. Mm-hmm. We going to a whole nother motherfucking state. You know what I'm saying? And they just had us on the side of the road for like 3 hours. Took him to jail. They tried to take his computer because they were like, oh, it might be weed sales in there. His girl at the time was like, you ain't taking the fucking computer. So we running through the city. Because then we had 2 cars. One car is going to get Paul, so Paul don't know nothing about none of this shit. We stay behind and try to get him out of jail.
Yeah.
Like, we got to have him at the show. Like, he put this fucking show together.
Yeah. That was
He's
horrible.
in jail talking shit like I know he is. We're running around town. In a town we have no idea. Trying to find a bail bondsman. Yeah. Can't find one. We was like, fuck it. We put all our money together. Bailed him out. He comes walking out like he's doing the George Jefferson walk. I was like, you motherfucker, what'd you do? He said, I told him I'd give him tickets for tomorrow. I bet him I'd be out of here within an hour.
That's right.
I said, you're a bad boy, man. We got him out, fucking got in a car, hauled ass. Like the other car that went like damn near an hour ahead of us, made it there maybe 20 minutes before we did. We were fucking flying, bro.
Through Texas, those roads.
Man, nighttime too. I was just like, boy, we can't handle no more trouble.
So fuck the cops in Level Land, Texas. Suck it down. I forgot your name, but that fat fucker with the goofy ass Suburban, whatever he had. I forgot your name. I'm never driving through there. Fuck that.
Right, you had to go back to court and shit. They took his money.
Yeah,
they tried to make it hard on us, but we got more weed when we got to El Paso.
So,
our boy just had to go back to Ohio.
Yeah, when we were driving down to Nashville, our one friend was driving at like 2 a.m, had cruise control on. He was going like 108, I think, on like a highway in Ohio. And then we think this is the least of our car troubles going down there. Cop pulls him over, and because he was going so fast, the cop just gave him a citation or a summons to appear in court. And he's like, "We're not giving you a ticket right now. Like, you're free to go, but you have to show up to court on this day." And then he ended up showing up to court, and they suspended his license for 6 months. So we thought that was gonna be the biggest problem that we ran into driving on this little road trip. Fucking 4 hours later, we get hit by the truck.
That jacked your arm.
Yeah, I broke my arm. And then later
that was a different car too. So like he got pulled over. We were all like laughing. We were like, "Oh yeah, he got pulled over." Like, called him up. Like maybe just talking shit. And then an hour left in the drive, we get rammed into the.
And y'all had switched cars?
No, we just had 2 cars.
Okay,
we
gotcha.
had 2 cars going down.
So we were in a Suburban, and then they were in like a little shitty Genesis car. But I'm sorry, Gray. I know you'll be watching this. But and then after that, one of our other friends was driving home from Broadway, a couple beers deep, and then he ended up blowing a .07. So he got lucky. Mange.
That happened?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I didn't know that. Pounds,
yeah.
He was 5 pounds lighter. He was
right.
going to jail.
Exactly.
Or if he wouldn't have ate one more cheese curd, his ass would have been in trouble.
And that same kid got pulled over on the way to Texas, actually.
Oh, yeah. They were just cop magnets in that Genesis. They were just...
Damn.
They kept getting pulled over. But it's been wild. It's been good, like, on the NickelUp stuff, too. First of all, thanks for coming on. Like, the hospitality out here in Vegas. Like,
it's been great. We just got here today.
But like we've been I mean, we're young, obviously, and we don't have as many stories, but we're trying to make
They're
it
coming,
happen
man.
too.
They're
And,
coming.
Yeah, 100%. We didn't have nowhere near the stories. Like the last, man, these last 20 years, 'cause 46 now. What are you, 47?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, you know, the same thing. You guys, what, 20 and 24?
Mm-hmm.
Just wait, bro. Especially to continue to know each other for those years. You're like, man, remember we started this shit?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you got a couple stories already. That shit's just going to keep adding on.
Yeah.
That's the dope thing about it, man. Just like finding somebody you can rock with. And that's even as a comic, like, there's always people that you can go on the road with, but it's like, are you going for the money? You going for the experience? You going because they're dope? Or you going for all of that? You know what I'm saying? Like,